Making expensive blockbuster films is an exercise in high risk versus high reward. Though most mega hit flicks have the potential to bring in big bucks, they also have the potential to lose a ton of money. So, when a low-budget movie becomes a surprise hit, studio execs can rest easy. We're talking about those diamonds in the rough that were made for less than $10 million, but still managed to gross loads of dough thanks to positive critical reception, award season buzz, and innovative marketing and release tactics. American Graffiti. George Lucas went on to make big box office bucks with the Star Wars franchise, but before he went to a galaxy far, far away, he went to Modesto, California for his coming-of-age drama, American Graffiti. At the time, Lucas was a fairly unknown director, so he had a hard time getting financial support for his project. Universal eventually agreed to make the movie with just a $750,000 budget. However, they still questioned Lucas's vision, asking him to hire a new editor and recut the film after he turned in the finished product. The studio was worried about releasing the film in theaters, but employees who had seen and loved the film eventually convinced them. Despite the movie's troubles making it to the big screen, it wound up being remarkably well received, earning 5 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture and Best Director for Lucas. The film was immensely popular at the box office as well, pulling in $115 million, making it the 15th highest grossing PG-rated film of all time when adjusted for inflation. Lost in Translation. The definitive fish-out-of-water dramedy, Lost in Translation won writer-director Sofia Coppola an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay and earned 3 other nominations, including Best Picture. But the Bill Murray-led movie, which explored alienation and existential dread against a bustling Tokyo backdrop, wasn't just an award season favorite. The $4 million flick earned $119.7 million at the worldwide box office.
Can you keep a secret? I'm trying to organize a prison break. I'm looking for, an accomplice.
Lost in Translation, which followed the complicated relationship between Scarlett Johansson's aimless Yale graduate Charlotte and Murray's aging movie star Bob Harris, first opened on just 23 screens, earning a total of $925,087. To put that into perspective, that's an average of $40,221 per theater, the highest per theater average for a limited release in 2003. Annabelle. Annabelle didn't buck the negative reviews many horror movies face, but the $6.5 million creepy doll film made a killing at the box office. The movie very, very narrowly lost to David Fincher's Gone Girl in its opening weekend, but still managed to pull in an impressive $37.1 million. Annabelle's strong opening exceeded the initial $20 million expectations, at least in part thanks to the movie's popularity on social media. The movie also had the benefit of being spawned from another popular low-budget horror series, the Conjuring franchise, which came from horror maven James Wan. The movie went on to make an impressive $257 million worldwide. The Blair Witch Project. The found-footage horror film The Blair Witch Project wasn't just a cultural phenomenon, it was also a box office hit. The 1999 film about a group of student filmmakers who hunt down a local urban legend was made for just $60,000, but went on to make $246.8 million at the worldwide box office, including $140.5 million domestic. This is even more impressive when considering that the film was shot in just 8 days, with a partially improvised script. Like many of the movies on this list, The Blair Witch Project benefited from an innovative release schedule, rolling out slowly to spark interest. The movie was screened at the Sundance Film Festival without much fanfare, and audiences were left wondering if they'd just seen a horror movie or the scariest documentary ever. Building on this excitement, filmmakers used a viral marketing campaign, one of the first to rely on the internet, to hook viewers while still maintaining the film's mysterious air. Get Out. Jordan Peele was already an established comedy actor when he made his feature film directorial debut with Get Out, a horror film which he made for just $4.5 million. The movie wound up being a massive success, earning $225 million worldwide. It was buoyed by near-perfect critical reviews, not to mention viewers' conversations surrounding the movie, which pushed people to hit up their local theaters to see what all the fuss was about. Thanks to its innovative premise and some smart marketing techniques, Get Out blew audiences away and earned $33.3 million on its opening weekend alone. Buzz for Get Out was so strong that the movie managed to earn 4 Oscar nominations, despite the fact that it was released almost a full year before nominations were announced, and the fact that the Academy has traditionally overlooked horror movies. Peele's debut wound up being the most profitable film of 2017, earning a 630% return on investment for production company Blumhouse. Juno. Penned by author-screenwriter Diablo Cody, Juno earned 4 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture, Best Director for Jason Reitman, and Best Actress in a Leading Role for its star Ellen Page, and a win for Best Original Screenplay after it hit theaters in 2007. The film featured Page as Juno McGuff, a high schooler who debates her options during a surprise pregnancy. The charming indie comedy was made on just a $7.5 million budget, with star Jennifer Garner even taking a pay cut to help the movie keep costs down. But thanks to its witty, pitch-perfect writing and strong appeal to teens and young women, it ended up being a surprise box office success, bringing in $231 million worldwide. Little Miss Sunshine.
Back up a minute. You know what a loser is? A real loser is somebody that's so afraid of not winning, they don't even try.
The tragicomic 2006 indie flick Little Miss Sunshine, which earned the love of critics and fans alike, chronicled the trials and tribulations of young Olive Hoover, played by Abigail Breslin, who ropes her family into a cross-country road trip so she can compete in the Little Miss Sunshine beauty pageant. It also earned 4 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture, which translated to 2 well-deserved wins. Not too shabby for a movie that was made for just $8 million. It ended up becoming a box office behemoth, earning $100.5 million worldwide.
You're not nearly as stupid as you look.
Fox Searchlight, the studio that distributed the film, clearly saw the box office potential in Little Miss Sunshine right off the bat, buying the film for $10.5 million after a standing ovation at the first screening caused a bidding war. Having that much buzz around the film right out of the gate got film enthusiasts excited, while the quality of the movie led to a long and successful box office run. My Big Fat Greek Wedding. My Big Fat Greek Wedding was just a few days shy of spending a whole year in theaters, and during that time, the $5 million romantic comedy went from a low-budget film with a few big names to a massive moneymaker, bringing in $368.7 million worldwide. That box office success was very unique. The movie opened to just $597,362 from 108 theaters, but it continued to build up impressive box office totals throughout its run, eventually hitting the number 2 spot after 20 weeks. The movie spent 17 consecutive weeks in the top 10. The movie's success was truly unprecedented, as most movies usually see a downward trend after their opening weekends. Rocky.
He picked you, Rocky. It's the chance of a lifetime.
Rocky may not be the top-grossing film in the long-running franchise at the box office, but its $117.2 million worldwide was especially impressive when you consider that the film, starring a then-unknown Sylvester Stallone, had a measly $1 million budget. In addition to its impressive box office haul, the film won 3 Oscars, including Best Picture. Stallone also earned an Oscar nomination for writing the script for the movie, but despite its astronomical success, he actually had a hard time getting it made. Stallone said he went through about 20 different incarnations of the film before he landed on the finished project, but even then, it wasn't easy. Producers Irwin Winkler and Bob Chartoff had to mortgage their homes and use their personal savings to finance the film. All that effort clearly paid off. The Rocky franchise holds the top 4 spots for highest-grossing boxing films, most recently taking over the box office with 2015's Creed, which also was an award season favorite, snagging Stallone an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor. Saw. 2004's torture flick Saw didn't just make $103.9 million against a minuscule $1.2 million budget, the movie also managed to launch a lucrative horror franchise. But the original Saw was able to achieve its initial box office heights by using strong word of mouth to hold on to viewers throughout its October and November box office run. Saw proved popular with young viewers, with 60% of the opening weekend audience under 25 years old. That's likely thanks to the flick's young director, then newcomer James Wan, who managed to make the movie in just 18 days while keeping the budget low. The franchise has continued to build on its strong start, and although it has stumbled at points, the 8 films together still have brought in a total of $976.3 million worldwide. The most recent release, 2017's Jigsaw, pulled in $102.9 million worldwide against a $10 million budget, proving just how impressive Saw's initial feat was. Split. M. Night Shyamalan went low budget for his 2017 horror flick, Split, making the James McAvoy starring thriller for only $9 million. This decision wound up working well for the twisty director, with the film pulling in $278.5 million worldwide and holding on to the #1 spot for its first 3 weekends at the domestic box office. Split, an indirect sequel to Shyamalan's 2000 film Unbreakable, featured McAvoy as a man with what appears to be dissociative identity disorder who kidnaps 3 teenage girls. The movie received positive reviews from critics, earning a 76% on Rotten Tomatoes, and was nominated for Best Thriller Film at the Saturn Awards. Split became Shyamalan's 5th film to pass $100 million at the box office, proving that the director still has the power to bring in large audiences. However, Split's low budget made that figure even more impressive. Paranormal Activity. Go ahead, roll your eyes, you were expecting this one. But whether you're tired of hearing about it or not, Paranormal Activity's success story is one for the ages. It's not often a movie with a budget of $15,000 grosses $193.5 million worldwide. The micro-budget horror flick was shot in just 7 days on a handheld video camera by Israeli director Oren Peli, a video game designer with no past film experience. After the movie terrified legendary director Steven Spielberg, studio execs began to take notice. Paramount ultimately bought the film with the intention to reshoot it with a higher budget. However, when a test screening blew audiences away, they decided to release Peli's version of the film after drafting an alternate ending. Paranormal Activity's success was partly due to positive reviews, sitting at 83% on Rotten Tomatoes. Paramount also implemented an innovative marketing strategy for the movie, putting it in limited release and letting it build buzz before setting it into wide release the weekend before Halloween. In its first weekend in wide release, the little ghost flick that could earned the #1 spot with $21.1 million.